This is Craig with Carshalton Advisory. In this video, we're going to prepare you for writing the Excel 2016 core exam by walking you through the practice tasks for Objective 2.3, Summarize and Organize Data. Let's get started. With our 2.3 workbook open, we want to move to our January-February worksheet. So we can click on that in order to go there. We now want to insert a row below the times, and in that row, summarize the data using Sparklines. I'm a huge fan of Sparklines. I use them all the time in my workbooks. I don't know if the examples that they've picked for us here are all that excellent of this demonstration of them, but we'll follow through these directions here. And at the end of the video, I'll put a link to one of my 2-minute to master videos that talk specifically about Sparklines. So we're going to insert a row here. I'm going to select row 4. I'm going to hit Control plus sign, which gives us a new row inserted into here. Next, we want to insert a sparkline. So in order to do that, we're going to go into Insert in our ribbon. We're going to go to Sparklines, and they have requested a column sparkline. So I'll select column. The data range is going to be all of these values that are in January here, and not down to February. So that's the range. Now the location is actually going to be where my sparklines are at, whereas the range is going to be what data is summarized. So I'm going to click Location Range, and I'm going to select this entire row. And so once I've done that, we will now have a string of sparklines across the top. Now this as it is a tiny bit confusing because it's not very well delineated where one stops and the next one begins. But essentially what this sparkline is doing is it's saying, all right, so for the 5 a.m. hour, here are the number of orders by day. So you can see the day 1 has quite a few orders, then it drops down considerably for the next day, and then it jumps up about the 3rd or 4th day. So you can kind of hopefully see a bit of a pattern of where your sales are coming from. Again, I don't think this is the best example of Sparklines, but essentially what it's doing is it's looking down this column and charting how few or how many orders are taking place. So our next responsibility is to change the style to a colorful number 4. So in this case, we're going to go into the Sparkline Tool. So this is a new ribbon tab that just showed up here, and it's a little bit tough to see. So I'm going to move our directions here just a little bit. So you can see at the top here, Sparkline Tools Design. And once I go in there, here's all of our styles. We want to choose the colorful number 4, which is down at the bottom here. And if I hover over it, it's going to give me a description. So colorful number 4 sparkline, we'll select that. That turns our sparklines now to this green color. All right, now we want to accentuate the first and last point with data markers. So again, we can click on any of these sparklines, and we'll go back into our Sparkline Tools Design in our ribbon. And what we want to do is select first point and last point. And now, when we look at these sparklines, there is a bit of a divider. So now it makes it a little bit more clear. Okay, here's where the 5 o'clock hour stops. Here's where the 6 o'clock hour begins. All right, our next objective is to go to the March-April worksheet. This time I'm going to do that by hitting Control Page Down. That puts us onto March and April. This time we want to go into column P and summarize the data for each day of March by using a line sparkline. So we're going to do something similar, except instead of a vertical summary of the per hour, we're going to go by day through the hours. So on the right hand side, we're going to click Insert. We are going to go to a line sparkline. Our data range is actually going to be essentially the same type of range. So we'll select all of that. And our location range, we'll do the column P for all of those same rows. We'll click OK. And so now on the right hand side, we have sparklines indicating the number of orders throughout each day. So this first cell here in P4. So that's showing us by hour what our order numbers were. So you can see where it goes, starts high, drops down, comes back high. So you can, at a quick glance, you can see where your orders have come in. So I do find this marginally more informative than how the last Sparklines were providing us information. We are going to change the style here as well by going to the accent 6, 25% darker. So again, into our design contextual ribbon tab, style, and we're going to go into darker accent 5, 25%, excuse me, accent 6. So that's on the right hand side now, accent 6. And so now our lines have turned to orange. And last, we want to display data markers, but not place any emphasis on the specific type of data marker. All right, so again, we'll select any one of our Sparklines. We're going to go into our design contextual ribbon, and at this point, we're going to put on markers. All right, so now, again, it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't provide us a whole lot of extra information, but for every hour, it does have a marker on it to kind of highlight where each hour occurs. Overall, I'm a big fan of Sparklines. I don't think that this is necessarily the best demonstration of them, but I would encourage you to fiddle around with them a little bit and get comfortable with them. Just because they are, in the right circumstance, they do provide a bunch of additional information without a whole bunch of additional visual clutter. This is Craig with Carshalton Advisory. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in part 3.